Hello everyone, Chris Assis here, and today we're going to be working on the pivot part of the Giro. It's going to be a continuation of the previous video where we were focusing on the on going from 2 feet to 1 foot. The reason for this is that one of the most common mistakes is that we don't know how to manage that shift of weight. So we're not actually using that space in between. We're not using, for example, that side step as an intro to the Giro, as a preparation phase to the Giro, even though we have so much time and all that we need is in that shift when you're going from the left foot to the right foot to help you with the pivots that are coming afterwards. The same goes for the forward steps or the back steps of the Giro. So we are going to find ways to use that shift of weight so we can make our Giros secure and smooth and enjoyable. So here we go. Here are the two most common mistakes we make with Giros. We either bypass the steps, so we see hop through them, and that's the end, or we over-exaggerate our body's motion and we pull our way around the ocho. So we want to activate the center, we want to activate the body and the legs, but we also want to find our base between the 2 feet. Here's the exercise that we're going to start with. So it's not really a pivot, it's not an ocho, and it's for the mentioned reasons. So we're pivoting on 2 feet. So we're realigning the base, starting from the leg. So you can see how my knees, let's see it here clearly, how my knees move first and they take my body, my hips and my body with them. So it is the legs first for this one and then the body. There we go. Quite clear in that repetition. So the knees first and then the rest of the body. You might be wondering why we're doing this. The most important reason is that we want to find the limits of this base. We want to explore this space of being on 2 feet and understand how far we can stretch it. When is the timing to move on, or the right timing to move on 1 foot? When do we need to make that shift? And if there is any way that we can use and merge those two movements together. And in terms of mobility, it is a very helpful exercise for us to find mobility in our hips. So that's an extra bonus. You don't want to strain the hips. You want to actually free them up as you're doing the pivots. And this is a good exercise to start your way towards a little bit more comfortable and smoother pivot for the hips. So we're going to do the same exercise here, but we're going to start from the body. You can see it here. Body first and then the feet. So the body is leading. Look at it. Body and legs. Yes. So it's a downward spiral compared to the one before that it was an upward spiral. And it is always good to practice both because there are various instances where we tense up one or the other, or we leave it behind and it's too relaxed, and that is because it we haven't made the connection between the part of the body that's leading the movement and the part of the body that's supporting the movement. So it is always good to take the focus to the upper body like we're doing here, and then to the lower body like we did before, and define those connecting threads. And this is exactly what we are going to focus on in this repetition. So try to merge the two together, so it's not just the legs moving first or the body moving first. It is actually taking our focus somewhere around our belly button and just take your focus there, just like you did before, focusing on the legs and then focusing on the upper body to initiate the movement. Do exactly the same thing, but just focus around the belly button. Don't do any funny stuff. Just keep things relaxed and smooth and flowing as much as possible. Now, if you are up for the challenge, you can try the same thing with your eyes closed. Of course, you don't have to, only if that feels like something you would be willing to explore. The interesting thing is that when we get to close our eyes, we connect with an inner eye, and we can actually connect with the space and use it as a reference. Become more aware of where we are in space, how we are in space, how our body is moving in space. And whereas most of the times, if we manage the fear of having the eyes closed, we can actually feel those connections that we've been talking about. We can actually feel where the movement is starting from, which part of the body is the leader, which one is supporting, and all this stuff that of course you can feel with your eyes open, but when you close your eyes, these things become just a little bit more pronounced. Now let's translate this exercise to the actual back and forward ochos. So we still pivot on 2 feet, but we're going to transfer our weight to our back foot, in this case, pass the free leg, the front leg, to the back, very, very heavily, not smoothly, heavily, as if someone is really, as if someone else is in charge of that leg. And we're just going to notice, we're just going to swing here back and forth. And we're going to notice how that swing affects the rest of our body. So don't think that I am, positioning strictly my body in a specific spot, but I'm letting the weight of the leg take me forward and back and give me that twist. When you decide to settle, to step, settle between your 2 feet. Feel the weight split between the 2 feet and add the arms as if you have a partner there. And now following the breath and filling your whole body up with breath, try to notice any points of tension. They're usually hiding in the hips, they're hiding in the rib cage, in the arms, the shoulders, in the neck. When you're ready, you go all the way back and you give yourself a nice gentle pivot right there at the end. Let's try this again on the other side. We pivot again on our 2 feet. We settle over the back foot. And then we let that free leg heavily swing back and front. And we try to stay stable over our base, and we're noticing what's happening in the hips and in the arms and the upper body. When you're ready, you settle between the 2 feet and you add the arms. And now again, we try to find those points of tension and see if with every breath we can sink in a little bit deeper into this twist. But we're not, as you can see, I'm not pushing myself to get to a specific spot. I'm just trying to notice, is there space in the elbows? Is there space in the shoulders? Is there space in the spine, in the hips, in the knees? Can I get there through the breath? So as you inhale and as you exhale, you can see if you can go a little bit deeper and reach a little bit further. And then when you've reached your maximum, you settle over 1 foot and you pivot. And we're going to do the same thing for forward ochos. We swing forward and then back and then front. And it's the same as we did last week's video, where we had the forward step come from a very heavy free leg that's dropping toward the floor. So aim for the same here. And again, you settle between your 2 feet and you add the arms. And again, with an exhale and with an inhale, you try to find space. You try to release unnecessary tension. And space can be even in your toes. You can see me wiggle my toes. When you're ready, you settle over 1 foot and you pivot. And maybe you will be twisting more than I do, or maybe less. This is a very important thing to have in mind, that everyone has a different body, and that's the beauty of dance. That in the same step, different people perform it and it looks different. But the method of reaching comfort and efficiency is the same. Still, the end result will be slightly different because we come with a different body and different backgrounds and different baggage. So your position might look something different than mine, but we're all aiming to feel comfortable and secure and safe to move and ready to move in this position, and acknowledging that this is not a static position, but a position that is continuously evolving and changing, even if it's a tiny change, like our gaze, like the stretch of an elbow. So look for those tiny changes. So now let's see how we're going to go from this pivoting on 2 feet to an actual pivot, but using that shift of weight between the 1 foot and the other. So using that side step, how can we use that transition to our benefit? How can we use it as an introduction to the pivot? So try to notice that I am not 100% finishing that shift of weight, and the pivot has already started. So basically what we're aiming for here is, let's see it happen, for the pivot to start almost after we hit 50%. I know that I'm going to do an ocho, and I want to use that phase, that in-between phase, to enter the turn in a smoother way. And of course, it can be going forward or it can be going backwards. Our main focus here is to find all the good stuff that we can use from from the side step or a forward step in this case, to do a pivot, to reach the pivot and do the pivot in a smooth, comfortable way. So this is where we started from, pivoting on 2 feet, turning the base, and this is what we want to avoid: fully shifting over, then doing the pivot. We want to merge the two together. We want to find a comfortable middle where we start to go over, and at the end of that movement, the pivot comes in. And let's see it again, one more time. There we go. And we want to see how the body can help us with that. So we don't need to adjust the body every time. So try this a couple of times. A few of them might be a little bit frustrating. You might catch yourself turning a little bit too early or going back to what you are used to, meaning starting the pivot, starting the preparation, let's put it that way. Yes, starting the preparation for the pivot after you have fully shifted the weight. So try to find that preparation phase within the step. So as you go past the middle, let's see, as you would go past the middle of the step, you enter in the preparation phase that will lead to the pivot. So we're going to use the same exercise we used before to practice our Giro step. So you do the full Giro. We're not going left and right anymore, but we start from 2 feet, we pivot the base, and then we basically walk our way around till we reach that last forward ocho. Settle on 2 feet, find your center, make sure the weight is split, pivot on 2 feet, turn the base. You turn a little bit more because you need to go into a straight back step. And here you don't want to think too much about the partner. I know that most of the times, and that is a good practice as well, of course, your body stays facing the center of the circle. But now we are focusing on something slightly different. You want to see, you want to find that middle space and how you can use it in a giro. So we can forget about the tempo or other technique issues of disassociation and so on and so forth, just to focus on this little thing just for now. And here we go. We're going for our full Giro step, and we're not going to focus on the rhythm, on the quick, slow that usually accompanies the Giro step. Go as slow as you need to go to find that perfect timing for that transition. So it's somewhere as you pass the middle of the step, it's somewhere there, somewhere around there. You hit 50-50 like I'm doing there, you pass the weight over, and maybe that was a little bit too far. You experiment with that, experiment with the body, start from a 50-50, shift the weight a little bit over, and see if you can start initiating, start preparing for that ocho. So go so slow, define the middle of every step, and if we could say that our giros were happening on a rectangle, so we had like 4 corners where we had to step on. Now define the middle points as well, so you would have 8 points in total and not 4. The middle point, back corner, the middle point, the other corner, the middle point, top corner, and the middle point again. So you have more points to anchor to and to think about defining. And as you go, when you start feeling more comfortable, you can start going a little bit faster, or actually just adding the rhythm, the proper rhythm to the step. But try not to go back to hopping through or exaggerating, pulling yourself around with the body. So still feel very grounded, still feel that you're anchoring yourself through all those 8 points that as you're going around, and experiment then when you feel ready with the tempo and the speed.